channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things, and today I am giving you the releases in 2024 that I am most excited for. Previously, I had broken these down as either like queer releases I was excited for or horror releases I was excited for. I think because my taste has adjusted so often, and because I have been so frequently disappointed by sequels, I am just putting all of them in one list. So I am just gonna categorize them by release date, and that is the order you're gonna get them in. Some of these books will have already come out by the time that this video comes out. Specifically the April releases will have already come out by the time this video is released, but I still want to talk about the books, so here we are. First up, on April 9th, we have The Familiar by Leio Bardugo. This is a adult fantasy that has some historical fiction undertones. Luisa Cotado uses scraps of magic to get through her days of endless toil as a scullion, but when her scheming mistress discovers the lump of the servant cowering in the kitchen is actually hiding a talent for little miracles, she demands Lucia uses those gifts to better the family's social position. What begins as a simple amusement for the bored nobility takes a perilous turn when Lucia garners the notice of Antonio Perez, the disgraced secretary to Spain's king. Still reeling from the defeat of his armada, the king is desperate for any advantage in war against England's heretic queen, and Perez will stop at nothing to regain the king's favor. Determined to seize this one chance to better her fortunes, Lucia, which I keep wanting to call her Lucia, or Luisa, and I don't, anyway, plunges into a world of seers and alchemists, holy men and hucksters, where the line between magic, science, and fraud is never certain. But as her notoriety grows, so does the danger that her Jewish blood will doom her to the Inquisition's wrath. She will have to use every bit of her wit and will to survive, even if that means enlisting the help of Gillian Santangel, an embittered immortal familiar whose secrets could prove deadly for them both. Apologies for some of the words that I was not able to pronounce there. This cover is beautiful. I love Leio Bardugo's writing, and I'm interested to see how this book is. Next up, we have Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes, also coming out on April 9th. This is a adult sci-fi with horror elements. I read a book by this author not too long ago, and it was really, really good. Probably one of my favorite sci-fi horrors. I like sci-fi horror a lot, actually, for sci-fi subgenres. Psychologist Dr. Ophelia Bray has dedicated her life to the study and prevention of a space-based condition, most famous for a case that resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. When she's assigned to a small exploration crew, she's eager to make a difference, but as they begin to establish residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. Her crewmates are more interested in investigating the eerie ancient planet and unraveling the mystery behind the previous colonizers' hasty departure than opening up to her, until their pilot is discovered gruesomely murdered. Terrified that history will repeat itself, Ophelia and the crew must work together to figure out what is happening. Next up in April, and this is the last April release that I'm excited for. Rather, I'm more, let's give this author another chance for, and that is going to be Off With Their Heads by Zoe Hannah Makuta, which is coming out April 23rd. This is a queer fantasy retelling. It is young adults, and as you probably guessed, it's in Alice in Wonderland retelling. In a world where saints are monsters and Wonderland is the dark forest where they lurk, it's been 5 years since young witches and lovers Caro Rabbit and Isadora Alice Sickle were both sentenced to that forest for a crime they did not commit. And 4 years since they shattered one another's hearts, each willing to sacrifice the other for a chance of freedom. Now, Caro is a successful royal saint harvester, living the high life in the glittering capital and pretending not to know the twisted monster experiments that her beloved Red Queen hides deep in the bowels of the palace. But for Ika, the memory of Caro's betrayal has hardened her from a timid girl to the ruthless hunter, a hunter who will stop at nothing to exact her on Caro, on the Queen, on the throne itself. But there's a secret about the saints that the Queen's been guarding, and a volatile magic at play even more dangerous to Ika and Caro than they are to each other. And that's the 3 books for April. Next up, we have books coming out on my birth month, May, the most important month. Just kidding, kind of. There's actually just one book in this month that I'm excited about, and that's going to be Evocation by S.T. Gibson, which is coming out May 28th, the day before my birthday. I really enjoyed S.T. Gibson's A Dowry of Blood. I enjoyed that book a lot, so I'm excited to read Evocation, which is a queer adult fantasy book. As a teen, David Aristarchov was a psychic prodigy operating under the shadow of his oppressive occultist father. Now, years after his father's death and rapidly approaching his 30th birthday, he is content with the high-powered life he's curated as a Boston attorney, moonlighting as a powerful medium for his secret society. But with the power comes a price, and the devil has come to collect on an ancestral deal. David's days are numbered, and death looms at his door. Reluctantly, he reaches out to the only person he's ever trusted, his ex-boyfriend and secret society rival, Rice, for help. Rice for help. However, the only way to get Rice in is through his wife, Moira. Thrust into each other's care, emotions once buried deep resurface, and the trio race to figure out their feelings for one another before the devil steals David away for good. We love possible polyamory plots. Very exciting for me personally. Next up, we have one book in June only, and it is probably the book I am most excited for all year. This book should come as exactly zero surprise to anyone who knows me, but the book I'm probably most excited for this year, coming out in June, is going to be Tidal Creatures by Shauna Maguire, June 4th. This is a adult fantasy. It is the third book in the Alchemical Journeys series, which, if you guys don't know, Middle Game is one of my all-time favorite books. I adore this series, so I'm excited to read Tidal Creatures, especially knowing what it's about is equally exciting to me. Throughout history, people have believed in moon gods. Over time, some of these moon gods incarnated into, I almost said incarcerated, which, anyway, incarnated into the human world alongside their other manifest natural concepts. Their jobs is to cross the sky above the impossible city, the heart of all creation, to keep it connected to reality. And someone is killing them. There are so many of them that it's easy for a few disappearances to slip through the cracks, but they aren't limitless. In the name of the moon, I'll punish you. No, but don't think I didn't catch that Sailor Moon reference. In the name of the moon, the lunar divinities must uncover the roots of the plot and thwart their true goal of those behind these attacks and control of the impossible city itself. None of those words probably make sense to you if you don't know anything about the Alchemical Journeys, so read those books, they're really good. Next up in July, we have Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Barron. This is coming out on July 2nd. This is a queer young adult fantasy retelling. Do I remember what it's a retelling of? Sleeping Beauty, maybe? Question mark? I'm not sure. I don't remember. Snow White? I don't remember. It's gotta be Sleeping Beauty, because this is Sleep Like Death. No, she already did Sleeping Beauty. Didn't she? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. Anyway. Only the truly desperate and foolish seek out the night, an ancient monster who twists wishes into curses. Eve knows this firsthand. One of her mothers was cursed by the night and trapped into the body of a songbird. With the unique... Maybe it's Cinderella. No, she already did Cinderella. Anyway, with the unique abilities to communicate with the animals and conjure weapons from nature, Eve has trained all of her life to defeat him. With more and more villagers harmed by the night's corrupt deals, Eve believes she's finally ready to face him. But when Queen Regina begins acting strangely, talking to seemingly no one, isolating herself and lashing out at the slightest provocation, Eve must question if her powers are enough to save her family and her kingdom. Gotta be Snow White. Gotta be Snow White. Because we haven't done she hasn't done Snow White yet, so it's gotta be Snow White, right? Yeah, that just makes sense. Anyway. Next up, we have Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle, coming out on July 9th. This is a adult queer horror book, as you could have assumed. Misha is a jaded scriptwriter who's been working in Hollywood for years and has just been nominated for his first Oscar. But when he's pressured by his producers to kill off a gay character in the upcoming season finale for the algorithm, Misha discovers that it's not that simple. As he is haunted by his past and past mistakes, Misha must risk everything to find a way to do what's right before it's too late. And that's it for July. The August releases that I am most excited for, I'm going to surprise everybody because I'm going to mention a romance. We have The Pairing by Casey McQuiston, which is coming out August 6th. This is a adult queer romance. It is about Theo and Kit, who were childhood best friends. They were crushes, they were in love, and now they are exes. They broke up in kind of a brutal way. They decided to have time apart because they had spent so much time together. However, they both had a voucher for a European tour that never happened, and it was good for 48 months after its original purchase date. Each one of them has their own voucher. They decide to go ahead and use that voucher, and it turns out that both of them have the same idea. So they are both on this same tour. They decide that they are going to do a wager and see who can bag the most baddies, who can sleep with the most people. They decide to have a full-on European hookup competition, and as the plotline summary says, sometimes a taste of everything only makes you crave what you can't have. It seems like it could go either way for me, for sure. I just realized there's so many retellings on this list. Anyway, next up in August, we have Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid, coming out on August 6th. This is a adult historical fantasy retelling. Obviously, it's Lady Macbeth. The lady knows the stories, how her eyes induce madness in men. The lady knows she will be wed to the Scottish brute, who does not leave his warrior waves behind when he comes to the marriage bed. The lady knows his hostile, suspicious court will be a game of strategy, requiring all of her wiles and hidden witchcraft to survive. But the lady does not know her husband has occult secrets of his own. She does not know that prophecy girds him like armor. She does not know that her magic is greater and more dangerous, and that it will threaten the order of the world. She does not know this yet, but she will. That just seems cool to me. That's it. It seems cool. Next up, we have one book in September from an author I've never heard of, but this book seems really fun. And that is, and also this seems unusual for me too, I realize, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. Sorry, coming out September 10th. This is a adult, cozy, fantasy, romance mystery. It had all of those and it seemed to match all of those things, so I was like, cool. And I also think that it's like Grumpy Sunshine, and I, as the grumpy counterpart of a Grumpy Sunshine pairing, I appreciate those. Sarah Swan was once one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead, lost most of her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, and was exiled from her magical guild. Now she helps Aunt Jasmine run an inn in Lancashire, where, and also, if I said that wrong, don't tell me, I don't want to know. In Lancashire, I don't know, where she deals with her quirky guest shenanigans, tries to keep the talking fox in check, and longs for the magical future she lost. When she learns about an old spellbook that could hold the secret to restoring her power, she finds herself turning to Luke Larson, a gorgeous and icy historian who might be the only person who can help her unlock the book's mysteries. The fact that he happens to also be her one-night stand from years ago, that's totally irrelevant, don't even worry about it. Running an inn, reclaiming lost magic, and trying not to fall in love is a lot for anyone. But Sarah is about to discover that she doesn't have to do it alone, and that the weird, wonderful family she's made might be the best magic of all. I don't have anything for October or November apparently, so we are just jumping straight to December, which will give us the last two books on this list of releases that I'm thrilled and excited about. We have What the Woods Took by Courtney Gold, coming out December 10th. This is a young adult queer horror. I fucking love Courtney Gold. I think she writes incredible horror books. They are incredible in queer rep. They are incredibly well written. They are reminiscent of some of my favorite horror movies, so I'm very excited to read another horror book from Courtney. Devin Green wakes in the middle of the night to find two men in her bedroom. No stranger to a fight, she calls to her foster parents for help, but it soon becomes clear this is a planned abduction. One everyone but Devin signed up for. You guessed it, troubled teen industry, because that is kind of the theme in the last couple of years, I feel like. Anyway, yeah, troubled teen industry. Woohoo! Devin is immediately determined to escape. She's also determined to ignore Sheridan, the cruel-mouthed, lavender-haired bully who mocks every group exercise. But there's something strange about these woods. Inhuman faces appearing between the trees, visions of people who shouldn't be there flashing in the leaves, and when the campers wake up to find both counselors missing, therapy becomes the least of their problems, I would imagine. Stranded and left to fend for themselves, the teens quickly realize that they'll have to trust each other if they want to survive. But what lies in the woods may not be as dangerous as what the campers are hiding from each other, and if the monsters have their way, no one will leave the woods alive. It just seems so good! And Courtney writes such good horror. Like, this is, if Shonen wasn't releasing books this year, I think this one might actually have ended up being the one I was most excited for. But unfortunately, Shonen wins every time with me. So I am who I am. I'm biased. That's who I am. All right. And the last book on this list, which may or may not come out in December of this year due to some things that you can look up online that I'm not getting into. Mostly the publisher is doing some out-of-pocket nonsense that is inappropriate and not fair to Zirin. That book is coming out on, but that is Heavenly Tyrant, which is the sequel to Iron Widow, and it is coming out on Christmas Eve, December 24th this year. It is a young adult fantasy, and it is the sequel, and again, I don't know for sure if it's coming out this year. I really hope that it is. I know that they have worked really hard on this book and this series and have really wanted it to come out, but I don't know. We'll see, right? We'll see. After suffering devastating loss and making drastic decisions, Zetian finds herself at the seat of power in Huxia. Huxia? I'm gonna say shit wrong, right? I am having a hard time talking today, so not like a hard time talking, but like words are hard today. My brain is not working. But she has also learned that her world is not as it seems, and revelations about an enemy more daunting than Zetian imagined forces her to share power with a dangerous man she simply cannot depose. Despite having vastly different ideas about how they must deconstruct the corrupt and misogynistic system that plagues their country, Zetian must join this man in a dance of truth and lies and perform their roles to perfection in order to take down their common enemy who seeks to control them as puppets while dangling one of Zetian's loved ones as hostage. With political unrest and perilous forces aiming to undermine Zetian at every turn, can she enact positive changes as a fair and just ruler, or will she be forced to rely on fear and violence and succumb to her darker instincts in her quest for vengeance? I do love the main character in this book, and so I think that it would be really interesting to see how this develops. I think that the first book was incredible, so I'm excited about it. And that's it. Those are all of the books that I am currently excited about in 2024. There could be more that come out. It is, as of right now, only March, so there could be more that are coming out that I don't know about yet, but these are the ones that I'm most excited for. Let me know in the comments down below if you have heard about any of these, if there are some of them that you're excited about. If there's some that are coming out that I didn't talk about that you're excited about and you think maybe I'd be interested in, please tell me. I am hoping that this year I read books from more than just authors that I am familiar with. Like I want to do a little bit more indie, a little bit more smaller author type things. I think that that would be fun. So that is it though. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. I post videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, except the first full week of the month. So I will see you guys next week regardless, because I do post vlogs every week at the very least. Yeah. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourselves. Okay, thanks, bye.